option as, let's say, if you played Ambush, right? The Dirty Tricks and Plagiarize. Plagiarize itself, right, is super scary because as soon as you play that first card in the turn, if it's a spell and you don't see that Dirty Tricks go off, you know that your turn probably has to be pretty lackluster.
Right.
It stops you from doing those powerful things that a lot of decks need to do to stay in the game because it's just going to give it right back to your opponent. So I don't know which one I like more because I've just seen and played much less of the secret variant. But it also can just do the rogue things. It can make giant questings and giant Edwins, which is what it seems to be doing every time we see it on stream anyway.
Yeah, that's it. I think it really is just different branches from the same tree, right, for this rogue deck versus the World Cake. But we are getting into it right now with Tristan on the top on the mage and Maverick on the rogue along the bottom. And both players not really having mind-blowing openings, mainly because Maverick is off coin this game, so he doesn't get to have coin Evil Miscreant, which is often like such a powerful combo in the early part of any rogue matchup. And Tristan doesn't have elemental allies yet, but is just piecing together some of these Sorcerer's Apprentice to potentially even play out a little bit more easily than we have seen in the past, like it to, say, Cyclone Mage of old, right? I think it's very less often that this is kept for some kind of big combo turn in this Burn Mage. Did that just happen, TJ? I had to just double check.
I mean, look at his hand.
Happened.
What is he going to do? Secret Passage?
Well, yeah, I guess this is very unlikely it dies. Obviously, with the Shadow Step, it's very powerful next turn. He can step it and then go again. I was just for a split second like, is this definitely going to live? But again, like 4 health with nothing played on board yet for Tristan, it is almost certainly likely going to live. So Maverick now had to do it a bit of a wonky way, but he got around to getting that Evil Miscreant active. He might even go for the more expensive one now, right?
Yeah, or we can go for the cheaper Evil Miscreant and dump a Swindle, right? Just to try and get more options. It depends what he thinks is more valuable here, is acquiring resources or being on board. I honestly think the Swindle, because then you could also hit Foxy Fraud, which then you could fit in. Or maybe even just like a Questing Adventure could change the way you think about how you want to complete this turn or what you want to pick from this lackey. So.
Oh, well, there you go, TJ. There's the ambush to help out with the secret package, so it's fine. He's going to go for that Eviscerate instead, though, and this is really nice because there are some must-kill minions when you're playing against Burn Mage. Mainly, I would say the Phoenix is one that you're most afraid of because it just adds that much extra spell damage, but really, going into certain turns, you do want to just reduce the board state down, and Tristan just knows what's up. He's just already like, you know what? I have 4 mana and I have a Fireball, and my opponent has a face.
I love this deck. Like, that's just correct because there's no reason for him to play these things because he's going to be able to do whatever he wants in a single turn, regardless of what it is, since he has double Sorcerer's Apprentice. So his play outside of Fireball phase would be probably like ping the 1/1 and then pass. So why bother floating mana? That Fireball's going one place.
And so might that one be as well. But I completely agree because even if he did it the other way and decided to play some Sorcerer's Apprentice turn this turn, what would it even achieve? Right? There's nothing to actually do with it, so I'm with you on that. Yeah. I actually really like the Fireball, but Maverick, even though you've got to be taken back by just being fireballed in the face on turn 4, he has got a lot of resources and a lot of burn himself.
Yeah. Very true. Ooh, Arcane Intellect. All right, so, I mean, there's a Questing Adventure on board that's going to kill you, so you have to go off. So biggest thing here, he can go for the lab partner. I guess you Arcane Intellect first, because you might hit like Primordial Studies, which could open up more additional mana.
Or even just more another spell damage minion potentially that you might look at.
Kobold G-Mancer. He can actually... no, he can't coin it out because it's going to be full cost.
Oh, it says explode!
Still, though, not the most mind-blowing cram session I've ever seen, but it is keeping the cycle going. Now, double Arcane Explosion for free with a Frostbolt. Looks like it might well get the job done here, TJ. At least to kill off the board and clear that questing, which is... It hurts to put some, potential face damage into this, but Tristan will just lose if he doesn't deal with this questing.
Yeah, and also, this is just 8 damage to face.
Oh, yeah.
With the double Arcane, so you might as well cash in now. The problem is if this board gets picked apart, what's his game plan from then on out? And it will get picked apart. Maverick has Arcane Breath, Prize Plunder, Eviscerate. He's got everything. And a prep with Secret Passage to back it up. Now it's going to be about Trahison finding, like, another cram session with Global Geomancer, or Elemental Allies is the big one with Confection Cyclone already in hand.
And the good thing is, he can just play Confection Cyclone next turn anyway, regardless of whether he has Elemental Allies. So he can keep putting some stuff on the board, because he will still have the 2 Elementals to proc the Allies if he can get to it the turn after. But Maverick is going to start fighting back, and that... I mean, just look at Tristan's camera. That's all you need to do for any play Maverick makes to see what the correct reaction is. Well, this is a problem, TJ, for Trahison.
I don't even know how you win from here.
Does he have to, like, just ping face and kind of let the trades happen so that there's no minions to trade into later with the Armorsmith on board? I know that sounds very dumb, and I do specialize in these kind of comments, but if he plays more minions, it's just giving Maverick more armor.
I don't even know. So his only hope now is to pick up a cram session in the next couple draws, so that way he can combo that with the Imprisoned Phoenix. But then after that, he's used one of his fireballs, he's used one of his frost bolts, and like you said, it's just going to continue to be armor gained by Maverick. I just don't know if he's going to have the burn damage to be able to get there. He's got health to work with. That's the one good thing.
Yeah, and there are one thieves as well, of course, in the deck that he has plenty of ways to proc. So though, you know, it might sound silly just using this as a go-to, but you know, Yogg-Box is a card that can help him out potentially.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think Tristan is at the point where he will need something drastic, because even a Raz Frost Whisper, if he can't kill the Armorsmith first, it's still just going to give Maverick a ton of armor, even if it cleans up the board. Oh, wow. Potion Armorsmith?
Is that even necessary?
I mean, I think at this point, Maverick just wants to not die, right? And he gets other good cards too. It's not like he necessarily has to play the Armorsmith right now, but having a one-mana Armorsmith seems like a solid thing.
Yeah, it's just he I believe will be giving up at least a card on the other side. Okay, that's smart.
Traded the trade first, yeah.
Yeah. Still going to be giving up a card on the other side, I think. Because he had 4 cards, or 5 cards.
Mm-hmm. He does play the Armorsmith as well.
Yeah, no,
he's fine. Yeah, he's fine.
He only had 3 because he prepped out the Secret Passage, so yeah, he's good.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I like this a lot, because now the double Armorsmith just makes this so much worse. It can be pinged off, but that will not only cost the Trahison mana, which we can see isn't really a big deal, but he pings this and it still gains 2 armor.
Yeah. All right, so Elemental Allies will be completed the turn Imprisoned Phoenix emerges. So that's ideal if he can hit a cram session off that and chain that into more draws. The problem is with both Sorcerer Apprentice gone, how does he find the mana to play everything? And on top of that, no Arcane Explosions. So normally you want those Arcane Explosions to be able to take back the board when Imprisoned Phoenix emerges, because you're giving up that tempo by playing a dormant minion, spending your mana on a dormant minion.
I think it would have to be Cram Session into Raz Lab Partner, right? And I think that would all fit with the coin.
This is...
So it'll be 9 mana, right?
Possible lethal? If he picks up Kobold Lackey?
Ooh, double Titanic.
Right, because there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Eviscerate would be 13. Yeah, if you picked up Kobold Lackey, that was lethal.
That's interesting. I actually wouldn't have hated like the double 1-attack minions into the 3/2.
Give me that. Love what I want.
Yeah, whichever way he does it, I like getting the most out of this Armorsmith this turn, because it feels like the game is drawing to an end one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, there's.
I also
even with even if you could pick the draws from your deck, I don't think there's a way out here.
Yeah. I also think he couldn't he have gone like Foxy Fraud, one Thief, and still had ways to get like Frostbolt Eviscerate? Maybe not.
A whirlwind of flavor.
Here's the draws though from Tristan. Is that another missiles?
Cram session. It just doesn't have the mana to do it all. That's the problem.
Right, but he can cram session into Raz Coin Lab Partner.
Oh, it says explode.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what he would need to get. I was talking about last turn that it's the only thing that AoEs the board down, right? Oh my god,
Oh,
did
he
he
hit
get
it! Oh! I mean, it's going to give him armor, but that's a pretty big board.
It's going to give him armor, but he wipes the board, and he's not just dead on board as well, so that is a big deal. But Maverick still has access to the Wand Thief, so he could just rip a Fireball.
Yep.
Or Frostbolt would be enough as well.
Yep.
Ooh.
Probably devolving missiles. I guess Blizzard.
Well, he can devolve in missiles, or he could like flick Raz and devolve in missiles the spell damage minions on the board.
Yeah.
Because if he blizzards, he has to like blizzard and then eviscerate Raz, and then he's slowly like losing the lethal damage he's almost there to. I think I like flick devolving personally.
Flick devolving, or even just like flick eviscerate.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Wow.
just to get rid of the Phoenix.
What's he looking for?
I'm lost, TJ. If I'm going to be honest.
There's another Shadow Step. Well, Stunner, but you're
Hey.
putting it back in his hand. He still has more spell damage minions.
I think if anything, you would stunner the Phoenix, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because now he just replays it.
And he can't kill the Phoenix now because he. TJ, I'm confused.
Oh, but he does get plagiarized up. So if Raz is replayed, then that's enough. Because then he gets the Raz back. He can Raz dagger up eviscerate. He needs 1 damage then.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
So if Raz is played by Tristan, then he needs to like not play any additional spell damage, or Maverick will be able to do the same if he has enough mana.
So you open with elemental allies. Oh, well, it's Dirty Tricks and Plagiarize. He sees both secrets, so he knows that both of them are there. So do you just Raz and ping?
True mastery takes dedication.
Yeah, I guess. Clears the board again, right?
Yeah. And now Maverick is 1 damage off lethal. Oh boy.
So he could get a spell damage minion from Font of Power.
He's not enough mana.
Oh, because he needs to dagger, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Reno active? Question mark.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, it's only 8 cards left, and he has. I think he's at least played.
It is! Eviscerate Reno, that's a clear. Wait, 5, 8,
It is,
14? Yeah, Eviscerate Reno is actually a clear. What? That's insane!
We're gonna have some fun.
Right? We're playing checkers, TJ, while Maverick is just playing chess at this point, because I would never even have picked Font of Power in that scenario, but it seems to have paid off for Maverick at this point.
It wasn't even on my radar.
And now the problem is Maverick sitting on 20 health a taunt minion, a very large taunt minion in the way, and very quickly running out of burn. And this is one of those situations where Zephyrus would shine if it was in the list. These are the kind of games where you really get some use out of that Zephyrus inclusion we have seen other players have in their burn mages.
Yeah. So we're going to see what's in the Pyroblast!
So he has to Frostbolt this turn, right?
So
he knows it's lethal.
He can just ping the 1/1 and then it's not lethal.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, actually. He can just ping. Get that damage to the face. But he just... Oh, is he relying on the... I guess it's very likely that these missiles will go through. Yeah, there we go.
Oh boy. Well, even if the missile didn't hit the 1/1 because he frostbolted face, the dagger up wouldn't be there. And Maverick doesn't play any cards that can just deal damage to face from hand. And that is, I believe both Wand Thieves have been used. Or maybe one of them was the potion. The potion Wand Thief. I'm not sure.
This is just intense. I'm even wondering whether Maverick has to, like, just Jandis this turn. With something else, of course, but, like, does Jandis do it, or is he just going to go for Raz? You're choosing to bounce that so that it's harder for Tristan to actually get an Arcane Missiles next turn.
Choose soon.
Kill off the Kobold. You can't really do much. He could kill the 0/6 for the spell damage, but bear in mind the Kobold is the same amount of spell damage and a 2-attack minion. So it has to be Jandis?
Yeah. I'm actually surprised in the Elemental Allies wasn't fit in last turn since he did end up playing Elemental, but maybe he had a plan. Faceless is just not enough. He needed like Rush plus Taunt or double Taunt.
Yeah, I don't know about you, TJ, but that does not look good enough to me.
No, not even close. Yeah. He got a lot closer, though, in that game than I ever expected him to get. If that Reno didn't come out, that's a different looking game, I feel.
Well, let's consider this as well. The Reno was found from Font of Power and active at the relevant time. There was also 2 Armorsmiths on a wide board for Maverick as well that game. If you peel away if you just imagine the Armorsmith was any other minion, Tristan probably just gets there with that Pyroblast. And I know it's easy to say, let's just make one minion that happened disappear, but it's just the extent that Maverick had to go to actually push Tristan back and just about survive and get lethal. That was an incredibly close game, number 1.
Yeah, and you can tell just the power of that Burn Mage because a lot needed to go right for Maverick to pull that one out. And even though Trahison also kind of bailed himself out with the Raz at basically staring down lethal on the board, I mean, he drew like half his deck at that point in the game, so it wasn't that unlikely that he picks it up. Just kind of insane. And they started off with this turn, which, I loved everything about the Fireball to face. He would have never had mana to spend on that Fireball as the game went on, as we saw. But there's the Armorsmith. That how much armor did it end up gaining at the end of it all? A lot, right? Like 10 armor, something like that, which if maybe even 8. But whether or not, even if he was at 6 less health over the course of that game.
I mean, look at that. Post-Raz, he was still on 8 armor after taking the damage from Raz, of course. So it was kind of nutty, actually. The Reno there coming in to save the day. What a game, number one. Honestly, I'm hyped for this. This was incredible. Like, and Burn Mage does deliver because the decisions are so important. It's like one of those slightly older school aggro style decks where, yes, you know, it does generate a lot of resources with the card draw, but you do have to make every point of damage count, especially when you're not playing Zephyrus, because you do have a lot of damage, but it's finite, right? Outside of hero powers, which don't add up to much. So it was really, really cool game there. But Tristan does look like he's switching over to his Whirl Kick Rogue for game number 2.
Yeah, and trying to get off that Burn Mage a little bit. Whirl Kick Rogue, I think, is the highest win rate single archetype in the tournament. It's hard to break it down exactly, but Rogue was floating at around the highest win rate for pretty much the entirety of the 3-day tournament. So it just feels like it's firing on all cylinders. It's a deck that can beat just about anything, and also has some matchups that are just straight up good. So not surprised to see it doing well. So maybe both players will just get their Rogue wins out of the way.
Yeah, and there are good reasons for that, right? If you've watched enough of this weekend alone, you will see that Rogue can be hyper aggressive. It can have tons of value for late game slower, you know, the slow burn games that we see sometimes, and it has some high combo potential. So it's almost like a third of each general archetype all mashed into one deck. And you know, it really, I think the onus is on the player as well, because it's one of those decks that if played well, you can get so much more out of it. Because I know for a fact, I've played a chunk of Whirl Kick Rogue, and I am not even close to what I would even say good at the deck. And you watch some of the other players, let's even go back to, it's not quite the same list, but Bunny Hopper's dominance last year with Secret Rogue, which had an absurd win rate. You know, you see good players get hold of that style of deck and it looks unstoppable.
Yeah. One day I'll get there. Maverick going to queue up the OTK Demon Hunter, a deck that he's impressed me with thus far. We've seen Maverick, I think, like 3 times on stream now, and he's just been lights out with the deck all 3 times that we've seen him, and it's a tough matchup for trahison. You do need to find early tempo, and you need to find like big turns fast, because you can't let the OTK Demon Hunter have just all the time in the world to curate their hand and draw as much as they can, because it's not a deck that has a ton of damage from hand. You know, Want Thief can change that, but we shall see.
I do think this matchup specifically for the Rogue is one where you need the Demon Hunter to kind of help you along with some awkward draw ordering or something, right? You know, Skull in an awkward position, or, you know, an early Il'gynoth that gets trapped in the hand and blocking some outcasts. Like, Rogue especially can be a little bit awkward here, but we'll see how it goes as we do dive into game number 2. And TJ, that Skull is in the right position.
Yeah, just needs a pair of Illidari studies, and we're looking at a possible turn 6 lethal. All right, didn't hit it.
Well, Tristan not getting off to a bad start either post-Mulligan with just 2 pair of Foxy Fraud and Swindle. That's a lot of resources, as well as some board presence very early on in the game. That is not too bad.
Ooh.
Time grows short. Done.
Well, if you can pick a couple fire hands for both players, these are it.
Even the Moag sitting there, right, as well, kind of helps, because you know it's there. You know it's in hand that if you get that philosophy and maybe, you know, a reduction as well, it can really pay off.
Yeah.
Probably looks like a Chaos Strike this turn for Maverick. Does have options with the Illidari Studies and Double Jump, but those are cards that you normally see towards a Skull turn and not super early in the game.
Demons?
If there's much of a choice.
Demons.
The only issue that the reason why I would see to play the Illidari Studies here is because Chaos Strike is removal, and it's the only removal he has in his hand at the time being.
That's true. So
he's going to need to find the mana to spend Illidari Studies if he wants to play Skull on 5. And so he wants to be able to have the option to use that Chaos Strike, especially since he saw a 2-keep on the side of his opponent. So he's probably expecting Foxy Fraud, Evil Miscreant to come down. So I like to hold on the Chaos Strike and getting the man out of the way for Illidark Studies now.
Yeah, I guess it's a lot more about the focus on the skull is there. It's in the correct position already. So what is the best chance at getting to a comfortable skull turn, right? And that's all that really matters, because so much of this deck, its win rate is activated by that skull going off like almost on curve. He did go for the Miscreant, so he has got those lackeys. I guess 2 reasonably low impact lackeys here for Tristan, nothing too crazy, but again, he still has another Foxy Fraud and the Swindle, so he has more than enough time to just start drawing tons and tons of cards. Chaos Strike does come down and help remove the first Foxy Fraud, but there's Foxy number 2.
But the problem is, like, this is cool and all the stuff he's doing is cool, but it's not putting a considerable amount of pressure on Maverick. Maverick's just like, I'm gonna draw these cards, I'm gonna play Dark Studies, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. There's no questing, there's no preps.
I didn't know that's how Maverick sounded. Is that a good impression, TJ?
Yeah, he's completely lost his accent.
I was gonna say, that's shocked me. Does look like he is considering just dropping this Moag down here. And this is what I always think is tricky to learn for Demon Hunter, for like people starting out with this list, is what you can afford to not throw away in a negative sense, but play, versus what you need to hold on to and when. There's a prep.
There's a prep, but unfortunately not enough mana to go like backstab, swindle, and then hit the questing, and then questing. Because backstab will kill this Morg outright. It's just, what does he want to pair this with? I guess he could start with prep swindle, and then if he hits questing, he goes questing, backstab, Wand Thief, Shadow Step, Wand Thief? Huh. There's a lot of minions in the deck. It's unlikely. He could do that, but I do like starting with this stuff first, because you know the backstep can always happen, right?
Yeah.
And you may find something that changes your play.
Choose soon.
Now Tristan can choose to actually develop an additional minion along with this backstab instead of going for... I mean, he can still go for Swindle, but he can hold off and just be a little bit slower, since whatever he swindles, he's not going to be able to play this turn anyway. So it's just going to develop that extra minion here, but the game's really about to start now, TJ, as Maverick does get that Skulliad in his opening hand off the ground. Nothing mind-blowing, though, in terms of the reductions.
Well, Bloodmage Thalnos is good. I-Beam is also sometimes decent, but he, outside of Blood, I mean, I guess they're technically combo pieces, right? Because the combo is pretty fluid. The Bloodmage Thalnos could take the place of just the Aug Merchant when you're doing the combo, but he's missing Fellscreen Blast, he's missing a Moarg, he's still far away from lethal, but the important part is he's got answers. Like, he can use this I-Beam defensively, he's got Consume Magics if Questings or Edwin comes down.
Yeah, for a second, it looked like he targeted his Miscreant, and I was like, what is this? What is this eviscerate going on? I mean, like I said, I'm not the best rogue player in the world, but I definitely think that's wrong. But no, of course, it was just the spectator. So, yeah, pound a lot of damage now. Tristan, again, not got a hugely threatening board, but if you look at his hand, you know, it is coming together with that One Thief again, the 0-cost World Kick to come down next turn to help out, maybe generate some more threats. Even the SI7 agent, I think for Tristan, any form of damage and aggression is good right now.
Yeah.
We hunger for vengeance.
Yeah, so far there's a Fellscreen Blast and an I-Beam used for Maverick. So I think this is the point where he has to start just, you know, remembering that fact that he's used up some of these potential combo spells.
Yeah. Spectral Sight again, just drawing through so much of his deck.
See.
A little bit unfortunate he doesn't quite have the mana for Eldraki here, but can just play the Ooze.
Yeah, I was going to say. He also, if he wants to play Skull next turn, he wants to dump the Consume Magics. At this point, he's so close that if Questing comes down at this point, maybe he's not too worried about it. But has to dump Philosophy with no Moarg in hand, just because the Bloodmage Silence will draw a card. He can't afford to overdraw the Moarg, because that would be the second one, and his combo would be very difficult to produce from that point. It wouldn't even be a combo anymore. It wouldn't be that much damage.
It would just
All right, time for World Kick again.
It would just be Il'gynoth trying to deal 4 damage a turn, basically, to win the game at that point. Well, that is some good amount of burst damage here. Eviscerate, Frostball, the SI7 agent for later. Head crack, TJ.
It always gets there.
It does.
What Maverick has been searching for some time now, I have to feel, is just Immolation Aura. Like he hasn't...
Yeah, how good would that be on this board right now?
He still hasn't hit it. That's another Philosophy. There we go. I was going to say there's 2 left in the deck with 9 cards. He's got to be getting pretty close. And honestly, Trahison really has to hope that Fellscream, a combination of Fellscream Blast and Moarg is in the very bottom part of the deck. But even then, Maverick only has 7 cards remaining and still ways to draw if he really needs to.
Yeah, now he has the Raging Fellscream in hand. He's not going to play it this turn, but instead clean up the board, get the Warblades down, start to just recover some of this health. And you quite rightly pointed out, TJ, the Immolation Aura was key and needed, honestly, for Maverick. So he definitely looks a little bit more stable now, but there is a head crack in Trahison's hand, so anything could happen at this point. It's not going to be played, but it could have been.
This is tough. Maybe Draconic Lacking and try and look for Evasive Draconid. That's a big minion that can't be targeted, so it's hard to use the combo on. But at a certain point, Maverick's not even going to need a minion on the other side to do it.
Oh! Not the best. Oh, and there's Moarg now. So 2 Philosophy and with the Moarg is going to open up a ton of options. But again, the slightly weird thing is he still has to pay mana for that. He does have the Raging Fellscreamer, of course, that he can combo with it going forward. So Maverick is just about getting there. He just, I believe, needs the Fellscream Blast now to sort of finish. Yep. Well, the Fellscream Blast and like a turn, I guess, is what he needs now to finish this up.
Yeah. Oh, if he draws it off the top next turn, he's good. I mean, it might be able to even be not guaranteed, but close to if he just Chaos Strikes this turn.
I grow impatient. Time grows short.
It looks like he's just going to use Throw Glaive to clean these minions up.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple. Rogue, this version of Rogue at least, not exactly got tons of burst damage available, so if I was Maverick, I'd feel extremely comfortable on 14 right now. And there is still that I-beam that he can, like, if needed, use Philosophy, and then just, if he needs an extra turn, just play like 1 Moarg I-beam or something, just to, you know, sort of re-up his health.
Yeah. Because he doesn't have it with Fellscream Blast next turn, right? Because his Moargs are still full cost.
Yes.
Because he'd have to Philosophy, Il'gynoth, Moarg, which that'd be all his mana.
On wings of evil.
Oh, Evasive Draconid.
If he had time, I would have definitely Suggested that Malygos with head crack, if he can stick it. That's way too far away in the future as a plan, but still, it is funny. I do think, though, your point earlier where the evasive Draconid just won't matter because you'll just fell scream his own board, right? And at 26 health, that is easily achievable for lethal anyway.
Yeah. Wait, is this lethal with the Chaos Strike? Because with the double Moarg, he can fit in, or he can only play one Moarg and Ethereal Aug Merchant. No, that wouldn't be enough.
Right, yeah.
Because one Moarg, that would make the Fellscream Blast just deal 6. And I-Beam... Wait, no. Because he would be able to fit into their Aug Merchant because it's only one cost. Wait, yeah, so the Fellscream Blast would be 2 doubled once.
You're paying for my discretion.
So that'd be 4, so that'd be 12. I-Beam would be 8. And yeah,
he has 8 from the weapon,
because the swing with the Chaos Strike from the weapon, yeah. So it is enough.
Yeah, he doesn't have to swing into the taunt because he gets to do this, which then gets to push 8, which as you can see now is more than enough. That was definitely a tricky one from Maverick there to just handle, as he did. He pretty much did draw his whole deck just about to get there. Trahison didn't really get enough going in that mid game. All the threats on the board actually ended up just getting destroyed by that immolation aura. So Maverick takes a step forward again and goes 2-0 over Tristan so far and gets another win on that OTK Demon Hunter.
Yeah, and I mean, again, this is kind of the problem with the Rogue against OTK Demon Hunter is they just don't have enough damage from hand, even with generated damage. You really need to have an early questing that sticks,
right.
Or something big early on in the game that puts on pressure. He had so much value. Like, even look how much stuff was in his hand that he died with. It was a lot. You just don't have time to play everything before the OTK Demon Hunter draws their deck. That was turn 9. That was a turn 9 kill. He had 1 card left in his deck.
Well, also
he only needed one, and he only needed 1 Moarg.
Also,
like, he didn't even need to copy it.
Look how long Trahison had the board for, because that immolation aura just was not there for most of the game, right? So he had this like bit of a board for so long, and it still just wasn't enough to get there. Personally, TJ, I think it's because he didn't play Headcrack.
Yeah, I mean, Headcrack can't get there if you don't play Headcrack.
Exactly. That's a lesson many people need to learn, clearly.
Yeah. But Maverick does have the Priest remaining, which I believe, if you look at Trahison's lineup, Priest has got to be the weak point for Maverick. I think that he's got decent matchups across the board. Trahison is even playing the Cult Neophyte variation of Zoo Warlock, which I think has just been getting there more so than the Soulfire version. Because you can lock up a board state, you can play the Cult Neophyte to protect the board against a timely removal from the Priest. So he's got like 3 decent matchups across the board if you look at his matchups against Priest. But even if you consider them 60% matchups, which I don't think they are, right? They're 55 at best. Doing that 3 times in a row, like dodging just the nuts draw from Highlander Priest,
right?
3 times in a row is a very tall task. So we'll see if he'll get it done, but he is an absolute underdog for the remainder of this series, however long it may be.
Yeah, of course. And I think also as well, and there's potentially a couple of reasons for this. I think you were talking about Rogue being probably, I think last time I looked, the best archetype or deck, class at least, for this tournament so far. I think Priest has been, underwhelming at best with its performance, but I do believe a good portion of that is because most people have accepted and been prepared for the fact that Priest was going to be popular, so we see these lineups doing well against it. We even see tech choices and even like 4th deck choices, if that makes sense, with Priest in mind. So yeah, it is a little bit tough, maybe over harsh on Priest, but I do think that it just needs a good draw once, like you said, right? And Priest has the tools available to demolish any matchup. The only issue they have is because it's Highlander, it's just getting those tools in the right time, because we've seen Priest make games look ridiculous in that their opponent never even had a chance because they drew so well. And as you said, Maverick's got a few goes at this, so we'll have to see how it pans out. And it looks like Trison's maybe taking the approach of he'll play his worst deck first. I don't know if you agree with me, TJ, but I think Rogue is the hardest one for him to get a win with here.
I would probably say the mage.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess rogue. So if you look at the stats, and we only have class win rates, we don't have archetype win rates. Both rogue and mage are 58% against priest. So very good matchup against priest across the board. But that's throwing in like res priest. It's also throwing in secret rogue, weapon rogue, bird
Right.
mage, Highlander mage, secret mage. And warlock is at 63% against priest, and warlock is mostly zoo, vast majority zoo. So you can see what. Okay, well, I mean, I said you got to draw the, you got to dodge the good draw from priest for 3 games in a row. It looks like he's not even going to be able to escape it for 1 game. But rogue is the deck that can make things happen more so than the other 2 decks in a situation where you're not just running away with the game, right?
Yeah.
If rogue loses their first push, they can find weird creative ways to win. Because they have just a bunch of, generation.
Shenanigans.
Value generation.
Is the word you're looking for. Yeah, rogue definitely causes and can create some shenanigans to win almost any game. But you are right in, your half pause in that explanation of, well, Maverick's hand is pretty good right now. And not only because of Zephyrus, but because, one, this Mind Flayer card helps with the early pushes from rogue. But then there's also Shadow Word Death and Hysteria, which can massively help with some kind of early, big questing. So at the moment, Maverick's hand kind of deals with everything, at least for, you'd say, like the first 5 to 6 turns of this game.
Yeah, which is what you need, because once you start getting to those later stages and you have mana to work with, that's when Highlander Priest really starts to open up.
Yeah.
It's just these early turns where you can fall prey to just good tempo starts. Wow, I honestly did not expect this, especially going with 4 mana. Usually, like 5 is the break point where you want to just go for a straight up secret passage because it opens up Jandis. If you were to draw it, oh no, Colossus of the Moon.
That's where we differ, TJ. I'm like, oh yeah, Colossus of the Moon. Maybe not versus Priest, though. That's the one where you'll just get it stolen and then die.
Not versus anything. Name me a deck where Colossus of the Moon is just like, yeah, if I get to 10 mana, this game is over.
Give me 5 minutes to think about that.
There's not a deck. There's not one.
Still a cool card, TJ, okay.
If it had Taunt, okay, now we're talking, all right? If you can Shadow Step by Titanic Lackey. If you can Shadow Step by Titanic Lackey at some point in this game and hold on to it until turn 10, come back and talk to me.
What about the mirror?
What mirror?
If there was you said, what matchup is Colossus good? You might need it in the mirror if it's slow.
All right, then they just go wide with like 4 3/2s. Then what do you do?
Cry a little bit.
Powers. Yeah.
Bloodweaver going to come down now. A card that not everyone's actually playing in Highlander, right? There's definitely a few of these flex slots where people are, I would say, even just experimenting with some cards because the core of Highlander Priest is so good by itself that you can just, experiment and see what you get. We've even seen some old school versions where there's just like sticky fingers in the list like they used to be months and months and months ago. So it's pretty cool to see some of these additions here, but it doesn't look like Bloodweaver is really going to get too much done in this game, apart from just be a big minion to have to trade into, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Like the sun,
Yeah.
strike like the wind.
Oh, up to no good. Me too.
All right. Well, those are the value lackeys. Probably going to finish the turn playing Goblin Lackey to trade over this Bloodweaver, and then can go for just trades over the Evil Miscreant, clear the board.
And do you think at this point in the game now, for Trahison, his decisions are going to be with that long late game in mind from now? Is it already too late for some kind of questing pop-off?
Wait, what is this? So he trades a 1/1 body for 1 additional health on the Evil Miscreant, right? Because, and 1 additional health on his hero. Because he could have traded the other way, gone the Evil Miscreant into the Bloodweaver. I guess this means that if Holy Nova or if
Breath of the Infinite
come out, he has a minion left over. Okay, so I'll accept that.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Because the 2 damage AoEs are pretty likely at this point, and they're just that 2 damage AoE, so he wants to make sure that he has a minion left over. So,
The future is clear.
but if they're not there, then he sacrifices a 1/1 body. Oh, he knows.
The moon mirror.
I mean, out of all the things that Maverick could get, these aren't that great because lucrative contract is expensive. It's essentially 4 mana kill a minion. But outside of like questings, usually Rogue is going wide, and that's an expensive play to make.
I did actually wonder there if the Draconic Lackey was actually the best one, because for me the thing Maverick's missing at the moment is those mid to towards late game minion plays right now. He has a lot of removal and answers, but he doesn't have anything to actually, if he does clear this board, what does he play? Like, there's nothing there, right? So I was a bit surprised he didn't take Draconic Lackey, because you are very likely to get at least just a mid-range dragon-sized minion.
Why does it keep picking Malygos?
Because it's the best card.
It's not even on my radar.
TJ, how small is this radar of yours? Because I feel like it isn't picking up much. It's not going to be very useful.
I feel like if his game plan is just to like acquire value, then Deathwing is just like, all right, let me spend all of my cards, and then I have a Deathwing.
You see how good this backstab could be in 3 turns time, TJ?
Cool. He's got a plan for this. He's got to be thinking like, I'm gonna find some burn. I'm gonna Malygos prep and eviscerate, and it's gonna win me the game. It's also more resilient to like Soul Mirror, doesn't get killed by Shadow or Death. Zephyrus will still kill it because of Natalie Celine, but
and then
apart.
Actually, this is genius, TJ. He picks the Malygos because it demands some level of response from Maverick. Yeah, you're listing cards that need to be used to kill it. Then he hits him with the Colossus of the Moon, and it's all over because all the removal's been used up.
Oh,
genius!
Oh yes.
See, it's all coming together.
Yes,
Back-to-back power plays. That's what we're talking about right now.
Play with fire?
And this is kind of my question, right? Like, the board has been cleaned up. He got the Breath of the Infinite now. He's going for the Pyromancer to clear the rest off. But unless he top decks something good, even if Tristan doesn't develop much here, what's his next turn? Is he just potentially even forced into a Zephyrus?
It's the lucrative contract. It's a 2 coins contract.
Right?
That's why he picked Malygos. Because he's going to have 12 mana at some point in this game.
Oh, I thought you meant Maverick, because he was doing his turn, and I'm like, yes, Maverick has lucrative contract. I don't know what you're getting at. Another Malygos!
It's got to be Runaway Blackwing, right?
It's got to be Malygos. In case the first one dies, TJ.
In case... Oh, Jesus.
So many options.
Another one! He picked it again!
To no good?
I told
He just has 2 Malygos. All right, now he just needs Sinister Strike Eviscerate. He's got an OTK.
Head crack!
Head crack. Malygos, coin Pilfer.
What?
Whatever.
Why did you get head crack?
Pilfer's just more value. Like, he's just on the value train.
Crack
Oh my
always
God, this is
gets
great.
there, TJ. Wait a minute. Don't you use that Vol'jin, please?
I mean, he's not going to use it on these.
Yeah,
I was going to give him back. Wait a second. He could Zephyrus, and then Vol'jin is Zephyrus.
That's true.
Because there's no minions left in his hand, so he basically, it's like a, just puts it back in his hand for free. But what would he be getting here with the Zephyrus? Because it's going to look at 5 mana stuff that's going to kill these things.
Weirdly enough, would it ever like offer Harrison? Because
Might
the
offer
board is so
Tyrion.
weird. Oh.
Yeah, Tears.
Yeah, okay. Pick Swipe, but surely isn't going to use it. I think no matter what he got offered this turn, this Zephyrus, as you quite rightly pointed out, was always being bounced.
Yeah. Oh my God. What if he Malygos Shadow Step? Then it's a 7 mana Malygos. So look at the contract. He has 12 mana in a turn. He would have 5 mana to spend with a Malygos.
TJ, imagine if he picked Head Crack. He could have
Probably wouldn't get
gone.
there.
He could have gone Malygos, coin, head crack, shadow step the Malygos, and then Malygos head crack the turn after.
Oh, Malygos and Shadow of Death.
Just got turned into a flock at the moment.
A flock of geese. Wait, how many cards does he have in his hand? Okay, he has 9 cards, so he can lucrative contract this turn. Ugh. That's not a particularly good one.
Choose soon.
He does flick this away. Is again obviously not a super high impact flick, but you're not really going to get a high impact flick in this matchup.
One stab, finish him!
Wait, what did you just trade off?
Traded off a Draconic Lackey.
Your mind is not your own.
Why? Okay, that one confused.
Hysteria? Hysteria.
Ah, okay, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And here it is, TJ, the moment we've all been waiting for, the backstab.
Jesus. So if this Malygos sticks, which it won't because he has Coin, Zephyrus, Natalie, Celine.
Wouldn't you just shadow step it after the backstab? Or do you think he's gonna leave this one?
Nah, he's got the second one to Shadow Step. I don't think you're going to Shadow Step it. But he does have the lucrative contract for the Natalie Celine, so this will very like... or he could just... Yeah, Maverick can just lucrative contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, with their Nitro boost, I'm wondering whether Maverick should try and get a Doomhammer from this Zephyrus.
I must consider.
Because it's slowly adding up to a lot of damage, that's all if he did that. He has the Eviscerate as well.
He's just going to cash it now. Well, Maverick has the answer. Mass Dispel plus Shadow Word Death. And by the way, that Colosseum would cost him 10 mana.
Yeah, and this will cost Maverick like tons of cards worth.
Wait a second.
Coin Murzon.
Coin Murzon.
A simple spell.
Aw.
Wait. Oh, he has double coin. Yeah. It's fine. And now he knows a big chunk of the removal's been used. It's Goose number 2 time.
I mean, if he plays Malygos number 2, he's just going to die. There's Eviscerate plus Zephyrus in hand.
I just want Tristan to be rewarded for his loyalty to the Goose. That's all I'm bothered about right now. Okay, one thief can help him out here, whether it's Nova, whether it's some kind of just removal, but he does need to start fighting back because it's not often you're just losing the beatdown versus Highlander Priest. Especially when I feel like Maverick hasn't really played anything minion-wise this game.
What makes something real?
Tundra Rhino.
Okay.
Choose
Well, he's got a Malygos.
So will Maverick with Murzon, though. That's the problem.
All right, is there a way to do this? There's not a way to do this, right?
By this, do you mean win the game?
Yeah, he needs to manipulate Zephyrus to give him Inner Demon. Will Zephyrus give Inner... It won't give Inner Demon right now. There's too many minions on board.
And also the problem is he can't activate the Eviscerate and still get in the demon, right?
Yeah.
Because like,
Wait, that's it. That's lethal. Just monitors in the fireball.
Yep, double coin. Into lava burst, right?
Or anything.
Sure. Oh yeah, sure. He's still got the
Damn it.
attack. Yeah, I'm not even.
my
I'm not
gosh.
even looking at the minion. But yeah, there we go. Lava burst is going to do it in. Wow, that was a 3-0. But what a set of games, and especially that one. That just went from crazy plan to even crazier plan, and I cannot believe it. But a huge congratulations to Maverick there. He is going to be our second finalist for Masters Tour Ironforge. But TJ, how are you feeling after that series and after that game? Because it was quick, but it was a wild ride.
That was insane because, I mean, Trahison, I feel like there was like some spots where he could just like tighten up a tiny bit, and maybe it gets there, maybe it doesn't. But for Maverick, it's like every single one of the plays that were like, wait, what? Why did he do this? Why didn't he do that? It ends up coming around and working out in the end. Like even just like the Nitro Boost potion, right? Well, there's so many things that he could do that turn, and he's just like, I'm gonna cash in 2 damage right now. And even though that it wouldn't have made the difference, right? Because he had Lava Burst plus the 3 attack, you know, those things can very likely make the difference. And you know, maybe he doesn't need exactly Fireball to come off the Mind Vision.
Yeah, of course.
To get there. So just a nicely played set of games all around for Maverick, and well-deserved spot in the finals, I'd say.
Yeah, really strong playing again, although we were, or at least especially I was saying, oh, you know, he could do this, he could do that. I think that just showed how in control, even though that game looked like it was going to go all the way to, you know, Crazy Town, how in control Maverick was, that he had so many options, and even though he didn't necessarily pick all the ones we would go for ourselves, he still ended the game with so many options too. He still had the Zephyrus, even if he didn't need it for lethal, he had Zephyrus to just clear the board if he needed to, right? Because he was so far ahead. He still had Murazond, he still had tons of other options, the coins as well. He was just in control for that game, and of course, different choices could have been made, maybe with the Discovers and that going for like Malygos, and of course that Colossus of the Moon in the middle. Very, very slow and clunky, and if there's something Priest can deal with, it is just one minion at a time, right? Especially if they've not been pressured as much in the early game, and you can see all the options were there. I don't even think did Maverick even use that Hysteria this game? I don't think he did, and he's had it sat there all game ready and available if it was needed, so seemed very, very comfortable for Maverick there. And if he continues like this, I think this finals coming up soon is going to be pretty fantastic and probably very, very close.
Yeah, he's playing good